Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another book club. And I can't believe Chef AJ made it.
I know.
How are you, AJ?
Hi, how are you? I'm laying down. I hurt my back in Mexico playing pickleball.
Oh my goodness!
So that's probably why I might look a little funny because I'm laying on the carpet doing a stretch from my
Right, we
back.
have to look at do like that.
I know. Sorry about that. Am I sideways for you? First week, and I want to wish everyone well and great success. And if I don't know if I can stay on the whole time, but if I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to. Thank you so much for doing this.
Sure,
I don't know why I can't get
sure.
straight. There we go. Now I'm straight, right?
Yes, now you are.
Good, 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 good.
Let's see.
That's
Yes, yes.
fantastic.
Okay. Well, so you've been in Mexico.
Yeah, so I teach at a spot called Rancho La Puerta, and it's funny because it's apropos because my book was actually written there because it's the only place I ever have time to do anything because they don't have Wi-Fi, there's no television, and so I can get a lot of work done there. Except for this time, the second day, I hurt myself playing pickleball, so I pretty much stayed in bed the whole week on ice. It wasn't so much my back that I hurt; it was I don't know, it was something like a muscle, like a groin or a butt or a hip. I don't know. But I've been in a lot of pain, which is why I'm laying down right now. I'm actually doing a stretch. You can't see the rest of my body, but I'm stretching my back because I've been online 4 hours already today doing my show, and I do my comedy class on Sundays from 10 to 1. So that's what I've been doing. But it's beautiful at Rancho La Puerta. They have a huge organic garden there. All the food we eat is grown there. And I teach cooking classes as well as giving lectures. And the lecture I give is chapter 2 of the book of The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss. It's the calorie density lecture. And I teach hands-on cooking classes, and I'm allowed to bring a guest, and Charles never wants to go. So usually I bring my sous chef, Rebecca Martinez, but she was busy having skin removal surgery because she recently finished her 200-pound weight loss using the principles in the book and had 70 pounds of skin that needed to come off. So I brought Chef Ramses Bravo, and he did a wonderful job helping me teach the classes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it is my goal to someday visit. I've only seen it through your eyes, and I really would like to.
Oh, it's everybody, even if you've never heard of it, needs to put it on the bucket list. The
Yes.
only problem there, and the food is delicious, don't get me wrong, is they don't understand calorie density. So they give very small portions. So I came home 3 pounds lighter, so I'm trying to get some weight back on because they pretty much they don't starve me there. You can ask for more portions, but you feel like Oliver in the movie Oliver Twist, like, more please, because they believe in calorie controlled spa portions. And so it's hard to get enough to eat. And so, I bring a rice cooker and rice, but I love my own food. And I think, you've really made it when you prefer home better than any spa restaurant when it comes to cooking.
Yeah. Well, AJ, since we have you here, would you just say a few words? Today, we're going to talk about the introduction in chapter one.
Yeah.
And chapter 1 is where you talk about your life. And, every time I read that chapter, besides just feeling like I want to cry, I wonder how you are alive.
I know. It's funny. I didn't even want to put that in the book. It was, I really wanted to just write a book about calorie density. And, there's a saying, I do a lot of public speaking, and there's a saying that people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And so that was a very painful chapter to write. And it was really because of Dr. John McDougall that I was able to write that chapter, because as you know, we met at his advanced study weekend when I gave the talk From Fat Vegan to Skinny Bitch. And it was a talk I didn't want to give. And I won't give it again. I've been asked, and I've been offered thousands of dollars to give that talk again. It's on YouTube. And it's like, that was for him. And I don't want to give it because it was too painful. But the thing is, I did it because I wanted people to know that, people see me today as this skinny bitch or whatever, like I have it all together. And I don't. I am one of the most anxious people you'll ever meet. I suffer from terrible anxiety and agoraphobia and panic disorder. I'm on the phone every week with Dr. Doug Lyle to stay sane. However, when it comes to losing weight, I know that it doesn't matter what your past is, what your trauma is, what your current level of stress is. I mean, it's not to say that doesn't contribute and can make it more difficult, but really what it comes down to is the science of calorie density, which I learned from Dr. McDougall, Dr. Lyle, Dr. Goldhammer. So I shared my story, and I'm sure there are people out there that have more horrific stories than me. I have a friend that was in the concentration camps. I don't compare anything that happened to me as bad as what happened to my friend Alex. However, I want people to know that until I got the food right, it didn't matter. Nothing mattered. You could have an idyllic life. And I mean, look at Oprah Winfrey. She has all the money in the world, but she hasn't gotten the food right. And when you really understand that, and it's lined out in chapter 2 and 3, when you really understand what to eat, it really doesn't matter why you eat or when you eat or how much you eat. And that is the message of the book. So I kind of wanted to not include that chapter, or then I thought, well, you know, because I'm not, quote, a writer. I mean, I'm a person that writes books, but Glenn helps me polish it a lot. And I said, well, let's just stick it at the end so they don't have to read it if they don't want to. But I remember one of my mentors in another field, a metaphysical field called, she wrote a book called You Can Heal Your Life. And her name is Louise Hay. And she did include her story at the end of the book. She was raped as a child. She had cancer, things like that. So I included it. And, you know, I want people to not just write their story, but I want them to rewrite their story. And that's what you can do. So your story starts now, guys. It starts today.
Yes. Well, thank you, AJ. I really appreciate it. So you're welcome to come anytime. Maybe down the road, in one of our sessions, you could do a little.
You know what I think we should do is I think if your group doesn't mind is, you know, it's kind of silly for me to answer questions now because if they haven't read the book or all of it, but what they should do is every chapter they have, if they have a question, write it down. And I
write
think
it down,
because I think the book is 6 chapters and your book club is 8 weeks, something like that.
Yes, correct.
So then one of the weeks we should just do a Q&A based on the book, like anything they don't understand, need clarification from. Maybe I'll do a recipe, I don't know, you know, from the book, but I think that's what we should do after they at least read the book, because then it's you know, when I teach classes, a lot of times the first night people ask questions of stuff that's really going to be in the material. So give them a chance to go through the chapters, and maybe one of the last 2 weeks we could do a Q&A. How's that?
Yes, that would be wonderful. Yes, that's exactly what I think. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thanks for doing this, guys. Good luck. You're in great hands. Gustavo understands calorie density. That's how he lost 70 pounds.
All right. Thank you, AJ.
Take care,
we'll
guys.
See you another time. Bye. All right. Well, that was so sweet. I asked AJ if she wanted to be here, but I said, don't feel pressured. I know you just came back from a long trip, and so she made the time to be here and wishes good luck. And I think we're going to have the greatest time. I have done these book clubs since last year in May, when all of the pandemic started, and I wanted people to feel connected. So we have read Dr. McDougall's The Starch Solution. We have read Dr. McDougall's The Healthiest Diet on the Planet. We have read Dr. Barnard's book, Reversing Diabetes. We have read Glenn Mercer books, Own Your Health. That's the name of the book, Own Your Health, with recipes from AJ. I think that's all the books we've read so far. And I have been wanting to read this book together for a long, long time. And so things align that we could do now when AJ is a little freer so that she could be a guest. I think that her idea is what I was going to propose, is that we read the book, and as you read it, maybe on the side of the pages or probably in a separate pad of paper, write down questions or clarifications, and then we will have her for probably 2 sessions where she can answer questions. So let's see. A couple of rules that I want to, by the way, all those book clubs that I have done, where I have special guests come in, and some of them, AJ is there. There are cooking demos. There's a lot of stuff there. Those book clubs are recorded and they're available and they're free, and they're on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Gustavo Tolosa, and there is a playlist. If you look under playlists, You will see online book club, and you can watch them there. Um, just a couple of rules that I have in this book club is respect. We all need to respect each other. I would like all of our comments to be positive and encouraging, because we are all at different points in our journey of a plant-based diet, and we just need understanding. And I want to ask you to keep your comments nice, and to and if I see a comment that is not appropriate, I'll just delete it. Okay, so this is something for us to feel safe here and to feel inspired. And I want us to stay strong and committed and compliant. Is a way to be accountable, because we will meet every Sunday, every week. If you can't make it live, don't worry about it. I will always send you the replay. And we're like a family here. This is a group support. If you need individual support, I do coaching sessions, and I've helped people get their food right, like AJ just said. And in this particular book club, besides reading together this wonderful book, we will also have some pretty awesome guests besides the writer herself. We will have cooking demos in every session. I will usually do the cooking demos using recipes from this book. And sometimes I will play the piano for you. As you all know, or maybe you don't, I am a professional concert pianist, a music professor, and so I love to share my passion, which is also, besides good, healthy nutrition, is music. So usually in the middle of the week, I will send out a surprise. It may be a video, it may be a cook along, it may be a recipe. So watch out for your emails. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, so when I upload a video, you will be able to see it. So this is just for today. From now on, there won't be so many announcements. This is just the first session of the book club. So if you have any questions or comments, write them down, and I'm looking here at what you write. Usually these sessions go for about 30 to 40 minutes. I don't like them to go more than that, because I know it is difficult to later on set aside time to watch them. So usually it is that amount of time. So today we have, here's the what Chef AJ wrote for me when she gave me the book. And okay, let's get started. I am in the introduction, and if you see me look here, it's because I'm looking at what you write. This is live. Today is July 11th, and it is 4:15 p.m. Pacific time, 6:15 Central, okay? So it's live. In the introduction, so what we will not do in this book club is read every word, because that's why I sent you an assignment for you to read. That would be boring, and I would probably lose you and you fall asleep. So what we will do is I will highlight spots, and then I may bring some ideas of my own. You can write questions here. Your questions, you can type them, right? Like you're doing right now. You can type them there, and I can see it. I can see questions. You can also email me more, if you have more personal questions, or if you have longer questions, you can email me. My email is info, and I'm going to type it here, info@plantemus.com. Plantemus. Okay, that's my email. You can email me questions there, or questions for AJ as well. So in the introduction, AJ says, I'm reading this first paragraph because I think it gives us basically the overall of the whole book. I was overweight from age 5, obese by 11, anorexic in my teens, bulimic and obese in my 20s, addicted to prescription diet pills in my 30s, and overweight and suffering from an addiction to processed and refined foods in my 40s and early 50s. For the past 6 years, without the aid of pharmaceutical drugs, I have achieved and maintained what I consider my ideal weight of about 117 pounds and enjoyed excellent health, feeling more energetic and productive than ever before in my life. I lost 50 pounds to reach that weight, and the pounds came off easily and effortlessly while I enjoyed generous portions of healthy and delicious foods without ever weighing my food, counting calories, or restricting my portions. Okay, so that is a good overview. Okay, I'm reading here. Okay. So then at the bottom of the page, she says, I was actually suffering from an addiction to refined carbohydrates. Okay. So sugars and flours. I felt that I was somehow defective and that there was something seriously wrong with me. Addiction is a disease that thrives in isolation, and I felt completely and totally alone. I want to put a pause here and say, if you're having connection issues, you might want to turn off the internet in your phone or in a tablet, or if you have programs opened in your computer like email or Netflix or Facebook or YouTube, things that run in the background that you're not aware that they really are taking this energy or the speed of the internet, turn those off, close them. Okay. So in the second page of the introduction, AJ says food addiction is real. And then she says, more accurately, processed food addiction. And I want to highlight this because when we say food addiction, we should really say processed food addiction. I don't think that there is any other food addiction, because as far as I know, after all these years of being whole food plant-based, I really haven't met any person that is addicted to lettuce, let's say, or addicted to kale. They have to get up in the middle of the night and just cram that kale in because they can't stand, So really the addiction is when you have these foods that are engineered to be addictive. So you're not lazy or weak-willed. You do not lack discipline or willpower. You have a biogenetic disease. Having that disease is not your fault. But once you understand this, okay, then you know that you need to do something about it. And Chef AJ says, what you have to get right is the food. Yes, there may be other emotional and psychological issues. Yes, and some of us have more than others. But really, it comes down to what Dr. McDougall says. It's the food. Once you get the food right, everything starts to fall into place. So let's see here. On page 3 of the introduction, AJ lists some questions. You can see how I highlight. I am one of those highlighters. I love to highlight the parts that talk to me personally. So if you are not sure whether you're suffering from addiction or not, you may want to read these 10 questions here. And if you answer yes to any of them, then you are dealing with some degree of food addiction. If you answer yes to all of them, then you are struggling with food addiction, and that's what this book is about. And if you have questions about that particularly, make sure that you write them down when AJ is our guest. So I read those questions, and I have two, I think, at least one, if not two, where I answered yes. And it is true. I do have an addiction to flour products and sugar, but not sugar, not so much, probably salt more. And I have been able to give up oil and, of course, all the animal products and all the dairy and everything. That's totally out of the question. And I have followed most of my, from the beginning, I have followed the Starch Solution by Dr. McDougall, which allows some flour products and pasta and small amounts of salt and sugar, but no oil and no animal products. And I was able to lose 70 pounds that way. Now, I know I would love to lose another 15, if not 20, pounds. And I know that I need to give up entirely the flour and the sugar and the salt. I know it. So I am, even though I don't eat a lot of those, I'm making a commitment today in front of all of you that starting today, July 11th, I am totally cutting out those products. I have done it at points in my journey. I have, but now I live in a place where there are bakeries in every corner, which makes it a real struggle. And so I will report every week what I do during the week. And that is my goal, to give up entirely these products that I don't think they're doing any good to me right now. At the beginning, when I was coming from a horrible way of eating, knowing that I could eat some pasta and some bread and some sugar and salt, really made it easy to transition. I lost the 70 pounds in about 8 or 9 months, definitely less than a year. And I did not exercise, nothing. I didn't want to exercise to see the power of food. So, but like I said, once you go through that first step, then if you want to continue losing weight, there has to be other things that you cut off. And that's the point at which I am now. Okay. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that you are saying that you'll be there with me, because it's not easy. And like AJ said it earlier, I am not perfect. I haven't, meat and dairy doesn't attract me anymore, anything, or oil. But it is tempting. There is, there's chocolate also. There are all kinds of temptations. And it's going to be much easier to do this with you. So thank you very much. Okay, so chapter 1 is going to be basically reading the struggles. Like AJ said, she didn't write this so that you can feel sorry for her. She wrote it so that you could see the struggles that she went through in her life. She was born to a morbidly obese mother who had struggled with her weight, and although she was genetically predisposed to being obese, she did not blame her genes, AJ's. This is page 3 of chapter 1, where she says that if both of your parents are obese, the chance increases to 80%. If one parent is obese, you have 40% chance of being obese. So what AJ writes here, and I love this, Dr. Baxter Montgomery from Houston, he says, he's a plant-based cardiologist, and he says, it's not the diseases that are hereditary, it's the recipes. And I love that, because the recipes are handed, on and on and on from generation to generation and to generation. And that is what is hereditary, not so much the disease. Okay, on page 5 of this chapter 1, AJ says that, yes, the things that were done to me were horrible, but the things that I ended up doing to myself were far worse. I want you to know that whatever happened to you in the past, you can recover from it. It doesn't have to define you now. What wise words. Dr. Doug Lyle, the wonderful, most brilliant psychologist that I've met and interviewed, says that as well. And remember that whatever happened to you in the past, you can recover from it. And especially here where we're all together and we can support each other. It doesn't have to define you now. On page 6, AJ says at the very top, until you get the food right, you will never heal your food addictions and emotional eating or remain slim for very long. We cannot underline that enough, okay, until you get the food right. And that's what we're here for. We know that from brain imaging studies that sugar is highly addictive, yet I was starting every day of my young life with mega doses of this poison for as long as I can remember. In my previous book club where we read this book, there is a chapter that you've got to hear it. You've got to read it or hear if you look at that, if you watch that video, where Dr. Barnard explains what AJ says here, what the sugar does to your brain and what the flour does. And it's just incredible. It's just incredible. On page 7, Chef AJ says, if you are a parent reading this, please understand that once you start feeding your child unhealthy, disease-promoting foods like animal products, especially dairy, and processed food, particularly sugar and refined grains, you are planting the seeds for predisposing them to a refined food addiction by rewiring their delicate brain chemistry in an unfavorable way and adultering their palate so that they're disinclined to enjoy the taste of healthy, whole, natural food. Processed foods like these are engineered to be addictive. They hijack our taste buds and our brain chemistry. Getting your family to eat healthy foods after they have been habitually eating these highly addictive foods will be an uphill battle. So please heal yourself from these addictions and stabilize your own brain chemistry first. The best strategy is to not feed your kids these poisons in the first place. Moving on to page 10, AJ talks about how she had to be hospitalized for anorexia. And then at one point, she, on page 11 here, after much struggle, at one point she attempted suicide, and she ended up in a mental institution, and the aftermath was absolutely horrific. It was the darkest period of my life. I feel very ashamed about what I did and what I put my family through. I want people to understand that this is truly a biogenetic disease that you were born with. It is not your fault, and you need not feel ashamed. It must be taken seriously because it can be fatal. Food addictions, you see, is a chronic, progressive, and often life-threatening illness. Okay. Then she talks about becoming, let's see, I developed some very dangerous strategies for getting rid of the excess calories. This is page 13. And she started with bulimia. And for the next 6 years, I battled with this other often life-threatening disease. On page 15, she talks about a book that she recommends her, let's see, where is that? Clients. And she said, You Can Heal Your Life. And it's by Louise Hay, Hay. Then she talks about how she tried the miraculous drug fen-phen, and how she lost weight with that, and then the FDA prohibited it, and she went back and gained weight. And it really wasn't until the year 2011 that she learned the secrets to ultimate weight loss. And for the past 6 years, well, now 10 years, I have not only been joyfully and consistently slender at 117 pounds, but free from the clutches of refined food addiction. And she says, believe it or not, my recent journey has been painless and relatively effortless. I do not have to weigh my food or myself to easily maintain my slim, ideal weight. While I do exercise regularly now to help me manage my anxiety without medication, I engaged in absolutely no exercise whatsoever to lose the majority of these 50 pounds. I no longer have an insatiable appetite for unhealthy junk food or suffer uncontrollable hunger or cravings. So, if you have any questions here or any comments, you can, I know that you have typed questions here. It was difficult to be reading and seeing all the comments going by. I know that that it was difficult to read this chapter because it's at one point it's like, it's too much. How can a human being endure so much pain, so much struggle? So this is an introduction to basically say the author here has gone through just about everything possible that a person that struggles with obesity, overweight can go through. And so she does understand to a great extent what all of us are going through. So chapter 2 next week. Chapter 2 is dense and it's a little long, but it's a very important chapter. So we probably will give that chapter 2 weeks, maybe. Make sure that when you read it, that you write questions. I think I can answer most of your questions. If I cannot do that, I will definitely bring the questions to AJ. All right. So thank you very much for joining today. And I will leave you today with a little bit of music, since this was today was kind of the recipes that I choose has this hot flavor with the salsa and the Mexican Mexicali rice and stuff. I decided I was going to show you a piece of music, which is a tango. It's very energetic with rhythm and jagged lines, and it's I'm playing this with my colleague violinist Leonardo, and I'm going to leave you with some music. So I will see you all next week. Next week, read in detail chapter 2, write questions, email me questions from today or from chapter 2 as you read it, and we'll do the best. I will do my best to answer them either by email or when we meet next Sunday at the same time. Goodbye, everyone. And here is a little bit of music for you to enjoy as we say goodbye.